What is up, guys? How are we all doing? Today's episode is an educational piece pulled directly from my client library on exactly why your brain is the very thing stopping you from being able to lose body fat and keep it off, but also what to do about it so you can break down those barriers and actually lose body fat and keep it off for good by changing the way that you think. And as a result of you changing the way that you think, you will change the way that you act. Enjoy.
Right, gang, get your beliefs to fuck, you silly goose. What a training. I'm really excited about delivering this one. But if you've come into this one thinking you are going to rid yourself of limiting beliefs once and for all, then you're fucked. You're very mistaken because you don't cure them as a whole. You learn to outgrow them, but you will develop more. The truth is, everybody has limited beliefs. They never disappear completely. And honestly, that's a good thing. Because if you never had any form of self doubt, it shows me that you've never truly pushed yourself enough. It would mean that you're living completely and utterly inside your comfort zone, doing the same boring fucking shit that you've always done, calling it growth. Fuck that. So when you feel that limiting belief kick in, don't think, oh, fucking hell, this again. Think, here's some data, here's some evidence. This is a sign that I have more work to do. So the truth about your beliefs, right? Beliefs are mental maps that your brain has built to keep you safe. They're shortcuts, they're patterns, old scripts that you've repeated so many times that they run on autopilot. Now, the mistake that people make is thinking they can just delete those scripts. You build new ones that eventually replace the old ones. Like fucking iOS, you don't uninstall the brain, you just update it. I wish I could delete fucking some of iOS. It takes up so much data. You bastard. But anyway, people think changing beliefs needs to come from some wild spiritual breakthrough. Like they've got to go to Thailand, find themselves a drugged up tiger and stroke it and smoke some fucking dope or something. It doesn't work like that, bro. Changing beliefs is built the same way that you achieve and build everything else. You put the fucking reps in with a level of awareness around what it is you're doing and you do it consistently. The problem is when it comes to mindset, most people lose trust in the basics because it seems too simple. They think, oh, it can't be that simple. You're playing with me. So they go looking for the complex shit. And people do this in the gym too. No, you're telling me if I get really strong on pushing and pulling that I'll build muscle. You can't be right. Well, it fucking is. You don't need more hacks, mental tricks. You need to master the same boring, repetitive shit. The consistent awareness and reflection that reteaches your brain a new way to see yourself. So, from here on out, everything we cover is understanding the belief, spotting how it shows up, and replacing the behavior that it drives. That is what we need to do. That's how you actually get your beliefs the fuck. So let's talk here about how your brain actually turns thoughts into actions and how your beliefs sneak their way into every fucking decision that you make. So there's a model here on screen called the ladder of inference. Now think of it as the process that your brain uses to turn raw information into actions. And it happens so fast that you don't even notice. So here's how it works. Right at the bottom, you have this pool of available data, everything that's happening around you. Now, out of that pool, you select bits that your brain decides are important. Then you add meaning to them. You make assumptions based on what you think those bits of data mean. And then from those assumptions, you draw conclusions. Those conclusions reinforce your beliefs. And then finally, you take action that lines up with that belief. And here's the kicker. You act in line with what you believe to be true. You see as you believe, not the other way around. Oh, the gym program I wrote myself isn't good enough. It's been sitting on the kitchen counter for months collecting dust. They'll tell themselves it's not good enough. But what's actually happening here? The bottom of the ladder, the pool of data might be I see fucking influencers posting fancy training sessions on social media. That's the raw information. They then select the data, only the shiny, perfect bit. And then ignore everything else, like how those people are potentially more advanced than them. They've been doing it for years. Or maybe that what they're doing is actually shite and completely useless. I see that a lot. And next, they add meaning. They assume, oh, everyone else's program must be better than mine. Mine won't get me any results. Then they draw a conclusion. If I do this, it'll be a waste of time, right? That conclusion feeds the belief of I'm not good enough. And so they take the action, or in this case, no action, and leave the program sitting there being unprogrammed. If that's, we'll just assume that's a word. Every one of us does this somewhere in life. Okay. And here's the thing, the action always matches our belief, not the intention, not the plan, the belief. So if the belief is I'm not good enough, the action will always protect that belief. You'll procrastinate, you'll delay, you'll avoid anything that stops you from testing it, because testing it risks proving yourself right. You might even disguise it as something positive. You might tell yourself, I'll buy a new gym bottle first, or I'll research the best pre-workout meals. But it's the same fucking shit. Perfectionism, procrastination, dressed up as preparation when it's just pissing away time. And all it does is reinforce the belief that you're not ready, that you need something else first. So what do we do about it? We trace it back down the ladder. We start at the action. I'm avoiding training. Then ask, well, what conclusion led me there? Maybe it's people will judge me. Then, what assumption did I make? Maybe that would be everyone else knows what they're doing. Then, what data did I select? Maybe it's I only notice the big muscly people in the gym. And finally, what belief sits underneath all of that? Usually it's something like I'm not capable or I'm not good enough. That's the real root. The belief that is quietly running the show. Once you can see the ladder, you've got a way to interrupt it. You can look at it mid-climb and be like, hang on, mate, this assumption is bullshit. And instead of going all the way up to conclusion and behavior, you can step off, choose a different action, and start rewiring the map. Because remember, the brain works through maps. The more often you travel a particular route, the stronger that neural pathway becomes. And right now, most of your limiting beliefs are overused routines, overused routes, right? Highways that you've been driving for years. Now, you don't erase them. You just stop taking the route so often and you start building a new one, right? A new thought, a new action, a new outcome. And over time, the old one gets overgrown. That is how belief change actually occurs. Let's talk about how we actually change this stuff. Because knowing your beliefs are bullshit is one thing, but unless you change the behavior attached to them, nothing happens. Now, here's the hard truth most people don't like hearing. You can't think your way out of a belief. You have to behave your way out of it. Your brain doesn't care what you say you believe, it only cares about what you do, right? And what you repeatedly do becomes the new evidence that it uses to decide what's true. That's what I mean when I say the brain runs on maps. Every belief that you have is basically a well-worn route that you've driven 1,000 times before. When life gets stressful, when energy's low, when fear creeps in, your brain takes the same road because it's familiar. You don't have to think about it, it's automatic. But when you try to change a behavior that's linked to a limiting belief, you're forcing your brain to take a new road. That means conscious effort. It means slowing down, thinking, feeling, being uncomfortable, and doing something that doesn't yet feel natural. That's why belief change feels hard. Not because you're broken or unmotivated, but because your brain is trying to protect you from uncertainty. What's the solution? We build new maps, one action at a time. So first you need to know what the old route is. So you've got to spot your old patterns. What do you consistently avoid? What do you keep putting off? What situations make you procrastinate or accidentally fill your day with other stuff? And then ask yourself this: what is the lie that I tell myself to that? Maybe it's I don't have time, this isn't the right moment, I'll be more pumped for my gym session later, or the classic, I just need to do this one thing first. Whatever it is, catch that thought in the act, because that's the doorway to the old belief. Then you're going to kick it in the fucking bollocks. When you spot that lie, you've caught your brain trying to take the shortcut, the old route. That's when you say, oh, you lying little cunt, we're going to take this new one. Here's the important thing. You don't replace the thought, you replace the action. Let's say you're always putting off going to the gym. You tell yourself you're too busy, you're not ready, your environment's not right. The new route isn't believe in yourself more. It's I'm going to go to the gym right now and do a session, even if it's wank. Because when you start to act different, even just once, you create new evidence. That's what builds the new map. The brain's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I didn't die. By repetition, you teach it a new way to drive. That's also why saying, I need to stop procrastinating doesn't fucking work. Telling your brain to stop doing something without giving it a replacement route. It's like taking away the GPS and saying, "We'll just find a way home, mate." Your brain gets itself and goes back to what it knows. So every time you catch yourself saying, I need to do X, ask yourself instead, what do I need to do instead? So an example of this is instead of scrolling, I'll leave my notes app open and jot down 3 ideas. Instead of telling myself, oh, I don't have time, I'll set a 10-minute timer and do a tiny version of the task. Instead of saying, I'll do it later, I'll block 20 minutes on my calendar and protect it like nothing else. That is how you rewire beliefs. Not through journaling to death and having mental masturbation, not through overthinking, but through repetition of new, simple actions that generate new evidence. The more that you act in line with what you want to believe, the faster your brain is going to update that software. You're teaching it, this is the new normal. This is the new route. This is how we act now. And yes, it's boring, it's repetitive, it's not sexy, it's not wearing a tight red dress and high heels, it's me in boxers hungover after drinking too many beers. Nobody wants to see that, but it is how every single form of change happens, including your mindset. Here's something else to remember. Until your brain has a new map, it will always default to the old one. Always. So your job is not to fight that, it's to expect it, notice it, and redirect yourself every time it happens. You're not failing when you slip back into old patterns. You're just being shown the new map ain't quite automatic yet. And that's fine. Every time you catch it, you're strengthening the awareness that makes change possible. Now that you understand how beliefs, your behavior, and how to build new maps, let's talk about the part that most people never do properly, rewiring the actual belief itself. So there's a tool called the incisive question. It looks stupidly simple on paper, but it is so powerful to change the way your brain responds to old patterns. So here's how it works. Every limiting belief that you've got starts with a limiting assumption. I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, that'll never work for me, others can do it, but I can't. Now, you've probably said at least one of those in the last month, right? What most people do is try and argue with that thought. No, I am good enough. Trust me, I am. But your brain doesn't buy it yet, bro. It feels fake. It feels like affirmations in the mirror when you already know that you don't believe them. Not me. When I'm in the mirror in the morning going, you are so sexy. You are so handsome. So instead of trying to convince yourself, you change the frame. You take the limiting assumption of whatever it is, I'm not ready, and you free it and you flip it, sorry, into a freeing assumption. I am ready to take the next step. Then you build the question that unlocks the new behavior. I knew that were true. What would I do now? That's the incisive question. Simple as that. And here's why it works. You're not demanding your brain believes the new thing. You're just asking it to imagine what would happen if you did. That's safe enough for your nervous system to explore, not shit itself, powerful enough to create new action. You might not believe what you're capable of yet. You might not believe you're capable of something big yet, but you can believe that you're capable of one tiny move that aligns with that possibility. That is the entry point. So let's take an example. Say your limiting assumption is not confident enough to do the bench press. The freeing assumption of that would be something like, I'm confident enough to ask someone to help me with the bench press. Then you could ask the question, if I knew I was confident enough to speak to people about getting help with the bench press, what would I do? Well, the answer might be just go fucking do it. So you do it and you take the action and then you get better at bench press. And here's the sneaky bit. The second you take action, you've just given your brain new evidence it was wrong. And that is how rewiring happens. You don't sit around waiting to feel capable, you behave capable, and then the belief will follow. It's like exposure therapy for your own bullshit. When you ask that question daily, you'll start noticing how often your limiting assumptions show up in micro moments. You'll hear the mid thought, I'm not creative enough, I'm not organized enough, I'm too tired. And you'll catch yourself mid excuse and flip it. If I was creative enough right now, what would I do? I was organized enough, what would I do? If I had enough energy, what would I do? And then fucking do that. You don't have to feel like it's true. You just have to act as if it might be true for a moment. And the more that you do that, the more evidence you build that contradicts the old, and that is how you shrink it. And here's the big thing, your brain doesn't need proof that something is absolutely true. It just needs consistent proof that something else is possible. So next time you feel stuck, don't overthink it. Ask the question, I knew this belief wasn't holding me back, what would I do instead? And actually go and do it, even if it is small. That's the game. Now we're going to get stuck into the deeper stuff that's keeping you stuck. Okay? The core beliefs underneath the excuses, the procrastination, and the overthinking. Because once you can see these clearly, you realize it's not your strategy that's the problem, it's your thinking. You've been driving with the handbrake on, and these are the handbrakes. So, paradigm one, failed before, so I'll probably fail again. This one is everywhere. You've probably said something like, I've tried before, it didn't work, so what's the point? And it sounds logical, but it's complete bollocks. Here's the truth, failure isn't the end. Your relationship with failure is what ends your progress. Every successful person that you've ever looked up to has failed hundreds of times. In fact, they've just failed faster than you, and that's why they're more successful. They just didn't attach meaning to it. They didn't decide that failing meant failure. You will fail repeatedly. That is part of growth. It's data, it's feedback, it's not doom, it's not death. Unless it's a failure doing a skydive or a bungee jump, then maybe. But if you think you're going to go through this process without fucking things up, you're deluded. That is not how development works. Fuck ups are good. It's part of the learning process. Paradigm two, I don't have the potential for more. You do, you just don't believe it yet. Right? This belief shows up as like low expectation. So you play small, you tell yourself, oh, just get to this level and see what happens. But the truth is, you don't have a clue how much potential you have until you stop capping yourself with old bullshit stories. Right? The freeing paradigm here is I haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what I'm really capable of. If you're doing this right now, listening, learning, building, coaching, whatever, that means you've already survived some pretty tough days. So you're clearly built to adapt. That means there's so much more ahead if you stop acting like it's already peaked. Potential isn't something that you just discover, it's something you develop and you grow into it, one uncomfortable decision at a time. Paradigm three, I'll only succeed when I'm desperate. This is a classic. Need my back against the wall sort of mentality. You tell yourself you work best under pressure. You wait until everything is burning before you take action. And maybe it does work for a while. You get some quick wins when you're panicking. You might even drop some body fat, but it's not sustainable. Operating from fear puts you in constant stress. I need to lose fat now. I need to fix this now. I need to do more now. Your brain hears that as a threat. When your brain is in threat mode, it can't create, innovate, or play long term. It just reacts. So instead of building systems that create stability, you're just putting out fires all day. That is chaos. Now, here's the shift there, right? I perform best when I'm calm, focused, and consistent. Urgency is great in bursts, but if you're staying there, you are burning out and you are going to start resenting the process. Okay? Paradigm four, I'll fix this later. This one's dangerous because it feels rational. You tell yourself you're just waiting for a better time, but here's the harsh truth. The better time never comes. You're not avoiding the task because you don't have time. You're avoiding it because doing it will challenge your self concept, and your ego hates that. Telling yourself you'll do it later keeps you safe, comfortable, and the same. And it's why most people stay stuck for years. The reality is you don't need more time. You need to start messy. because imperfect action beats perfect inaction. So the new paradigm here is I don't need perfect conditions to start. I just need to fucking start. And the fifth one is I can't change. That's just how I am. Absolute load of shite, you dickhead. You're changing every day. And whether you realize it or not, you've already unlearned things that you used to believe as a kid. You've already changed opinions, habits, patterns hundreds of times in your life. So why suddenly decide your current beliefs are permanent? When people say that's just how I am, what they really mean is that's how I've been up until now. You can build new beliefs at any time, at any age, in any area of life. And the moment that you decide to act differently, you're already doing it. That is how powerful behavior is. You don't wait for belief, you just move first. That's the difference between people who stay stuck and the ones who actually change. Okay, they stop talking about it, stop analyzing it, and just start doing it. Now we're going to put all of this together. Actually, just kill off all the old beliefs. Because up until this point, you probably realize something. You don't need to manage your limiting beliefs, you need to bury them. Right? And I don't mean gently. You need a full-on funeral. Dig the hole, put the coffin in, put the dirt on top, walk away, job done, job's a good one. Or a funeral at sea, just chuck them overboard. Whatever you fancy. These beliefs have taken enough rent-free space in your head. They've dictated your behavior, your confidence, your energy, your decisions. They've had their say. Now it's your decision. It's your turn. Kill them. Here's what this tool looks like. First of all, name it. Call the belief out for what it is. Say it out loud. Write it down. Something like, I'm not good enough at dieting. People judge me. Whatever it is, drag it into the light. You can't kill what you're not willing to name. Then we expose the lie. Where did this come from? What's the proof that I'm using to keep this alive? Is it just from a few bad experiences? Someone else's opinion? Something from when I was a kid? Most of the time you realize the evidence is really thin, like thin as paper. You could just fucking rip that shit. Then we need to replace it with the truth. Write the real version, the one that actually helps you move forwards. So, for example, I'm not good at dieting becomes I'm learning and I'm capable of figuring shit out. If people don't like me, I'm not good enough becomes if people don't like me, that's information, not a verdict. You're not lying to yourself, you're telling yourself a truer truth. One that lines up with action, not fear. You must act immediately. You cannot bury a belief and then keep acting like it's alive. That's like, holding a funeral and then you're inviting the corpse round for dinner. Unless you're Jeff Dahmer, I'm assuming you ain't into that. The moment that you write the new belief, you take an action that proves it. Even something tiny. You hit publish, you send the message, you go and ask for feedback, whatever breaks the pattern fastest. That's how you signal to the brain, this is the new map now, fuck that old bitch. You need to repeat this until it is boring because the old belief will try and crawl back in at times. Okay, so repeat, 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 and celebrate the shift. Most people never get that far. They keep letting old stories run their lives. So celebrate it. Recognize that you chose action over avoidance. Put yourself in charge and celebrate that shit. Guys, I hope this was really, really useful. If you've got any questions, as always, you know where to find me.